All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, is this high to Canaan? Right, fist up. All right, is this table not too high for me now? Okay, I'm loving it. Yes, guys, you are welcome back from your short break. And actually, it's not a short break. You were out for 3 weeks, right? It's quite a long period. Right. Yeah, before I begin, before I kickstart, we just, it's very important that we give gratitude to Almighty God, right? Because without Him, there is nothing we can achieve. You all went on holiday and you came back in good condition. With that alone, and many more that God is doing for us, we give Him gratitude, right? Thank Him for everything and we commit into His hand whatever we're going to do today to take control. He's the one that gives wisdom. Without God's wisdom, you cannot achieve anything. You can be a billionaire if you don't have God's wisdom on how to use your money. I'm telling you, within the twinkle of an eye, the devil will just blow you ear. You see, blow you ear like no, what is it? Blow you ear, air, moya. Then you're gonna collapse. Your money gonna finish, right? We don't pray for that, man. We need to pray God for God's protection, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. Like I always say, I always like to commend this cohort of your NCV transport and logistics, specifically for this subject, new venture creation. You've been so good, you've been so loyal, and you've been so disciplined, right? And I would like you to keep it up, right? So, and you, some of you did well, right? In general, you perform more than the other classes I'm teaching, entrepreneurship and project management. And, and I see that most of you as well, you watch the video, which is good. And you did subscribe, right? With your subscription, I'm getting motivated to do. Even if I'm tired, when I think about you, then I get revived. I say, let me put something on the YouTube. Yesterday, I put something there. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a new term, which is term 3. It's very short, right? It will go so quickly that you can never imagine. Very short. And this term again, I'll focus. You got work to do. Let me try to raise my voice. Perhaps you gentlemen at the back, maybe you're not hearing what I'm saying. Because today's your first time of sitting at the back, right? So I want to make it comfortable for you. Speak louder. So as I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, this term is very short and you got a lot of work to do. You got what we call ISET. ISET. Perhaps you can ask, what is an ISET? Have they explained to you what is an ISET? Oh, it's a task that combine all what you'll be doing from term 1, right? It's very, very important. That ISET, it carries 15% of your final year mark, 1-5. And if you don't get up to 50% in the ISET, you will not be allowed to write the exam. You will not be eligible to write the exam if you don't pass ISET, Very, very important. Thereafter, you need to do as well your internal exam. Internal exam combines all what you'll be doing from term one. It covers everything from Genesis to Revelation. Right. So all we'll be doing is going to be reflected. You are going to be tested on the whole topics. That is how that one goes. But for you, I'm very confident that you are going to pass. Right? So it's not a problem. We've more or less covered the syllabus, the scheme of work. We've covered it. Only here and there that we need to touch. I need to go back and teach you the different form of businesses because I see in the exam some questions came out from there. Although I told you to study it, and you couldn't do much as was expected from you because I know your capability that you are up to the task. So when you are performing below standard, I know something is wrong somewhere. Right. Okay. We're going to talk about that. We've got different forms of business, different types of business. For example, you got one man's business. We call it sole proprietorship, whereby you are the only one. Everything is on your shoulder. The whole burden is on your shoulder. You are the one making decision, right? Then we got partnership, right? From 2 to 21, thereabout, we're going to see it. Then we got public limited liability company, PTY. Have you ever seen that? When they say PTY, what does it mean? Proprietary, limited. Then you got public companies, big companies, right? So it has its own characteristics in terms of the setup, in terms of liabilities. You know what we mean by liabilities? Liabilities means debt. You know, debt, DEPT, that is liability. Debt is very heavy. You know about that. Debt. When you are owing somebody, I'm telling you, it's a heavy load. Most especially if you don't have the money to pay that person, and that person have given you a due date. When you see that person, you will like if it is possible for the ground to open for you to get inside. You know, how many of you have experienced that? Me, I've experienced it a lot of time. You know, those days when I used to struggle a lot, end of the month, my heart gonna be beating. Where am I going to get money to pay the rent? When I see the phone call, number of my landlord calling me, I say, oh man, this guy calling me again. I will take the phone, put it in my pocket. You know, those kind of stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are preambles, you know, just to bring you home, to keep you at least, right? Yeah. So, like I said, we've done much. We've covered the syllabus virtually, that's 95%. So, like I said, we just need to touch it here and there. Then we are going to dwell more on past question papers. I know you will love it. Yeah? Past question papers. I'm going to give you past question papers with memo, right? Good news. Not only that, I'm going to do as much as we could to revise the past, to do the past question papers here, right? Then, like as we do, or as we always do, we got our video, right? YouTube, right? It continues, although myself is broken today, with your motivation as well, that I promise I'm not gonna let you down. This evening, I'm going to buy another stand, right? So that it will continue. I don't want it to stop. Right. Okay. Now, as I said, we are going to go through past question papers. right? By going through the past question papers, then we can be doing a kind of revision. Now, I've started already and I uploaded it to YouTube yesterday. We did this, right? I don't want to, can I don't want, there's no need to go back to this aspect again. We've done this, right? So you that was not here, walala wasala, right? But anyhow, it's not the end of the day. You can visit the YouTube channel. Everything is there, right? So let's see. This is a case study, right? Most students they struggle with the case study, answering case study. You just have to listen, compose yourself very well to understand what the case study is about. In any exam, make sure you understand it. If you understand it, you can be able to answer the questions, right? So as we have it here, this one is where is it? Is there any heading title? Let me see. Okay, there was no title, right? But how could there be a case study without a title? But never mind, right? So we're talking about Mrs. Moloko Fala from Itereng. Is it Itereng, right? Yeah, near, this is Afrikaans. Sokmaka Limpopo. But this name sounds more or less. I hope this thing is not gonna fail me today. I bought new batteries yesterday. Mustn't mess me up now. But why is it so stiff now? Very stiff. This Chinese stuff. Why is it so stiff? Okay, I'm talking about this. So what is this? Is this Schumacher? What does it mean? Okay. Grew up in a family that understood the value of craft, right? Craft, handmade goods, and good design in a community. How many of you have seen some of this craft around? These guys are making money. These guys that are selling craft, you know. And when you see it, there are certain people that like all this type of work, and they pay good money for it because some of these things are unique, right? And it speaks to the heart sometimes. You know, I saw one craft the other day. Somebody made talking about broken heart. You know, broken heart. The guy designed a broken heart. So when the guy came to me, I said, "My friend, my heart is not broken. I don't need this type of stuff." You know. Then you know what we are talking about in terms of craft, you know, all these handworks and all those stuff. Right. So he grew up, and this thing is very common in Limpopo. It's true. Those guys, they are very creative, man, very artistic. They use their hands to make good stuff. Have you ever seen most of them here in Cape Town? They're making good stuff. You know, I remember there was okay, you know Greenpoint, Greenpoint Stadium. You know Greenpoint. You know Greenpoint. Have you been to Greenpoint? Okay. Have you been to Green Market? Green Market Square. Right. If you go to Green Market Square, you see all these things I'm talking about. This crap. I remember those days there was a time I had wanted to go into business for this stuff. Put it on the to be sending it overseas because in you overseas they like this stuff. But I couldn't take up the business. I wanted to be selling it online. That time, online was very new. You know, the year that I had wanted to start making business on this, 2001. Online was very new. Maybe by now, you could have become a millionaire, something like that, right? But anyhow, God knows when I will become a millionaire. Right. So her family supported her ambition and encourage her to pursue her business idea when she finished school, right? The gifted, you see how they qualify her here. The gifted, right? The gifted Moloko at 27 years decided to start her own shoe manufacturing and design business at her home. You know, Mrs. Moloko was somebody that is naturally gifted in terms of design, artwork, craft work. Then she decided to put that one into practice to earn her living, right? By starting a shoemaking business, right? Where did she started? She started at her home, as a new business, right? Are you enjoying the case study? Who is not enjoying it? You. Okay, don't worry, you're gonna enjoy it. Don't worry, we are getting there. Right. Today, she is the proud owner of Shaki Shoemaking and has two assistants. Right? That is one of the essence of creating business. You create a business, it's like planting a seed. You know what is a seed? Right? You plant a seed, then just one seed, that seed goes into the ground, it sprouts, germinates, and before you know it, start producing fruits. And it's going to produce more. Not only that one seed that you put in the ground, it's going to multiply itself. Right? When you start a business, obviously, you are aiming that business to grow. One day the business is gonna grow, then you're gonna become a what? Employer of labor. Right? People are gonna be working for you. Right. So let's see what happens next. Then this thing is very stiff. I don't know what is wrong now. Right? My hand is sore. Ask this. What she said? So, oh, this one. So if do you want us to switch up? Here gonna be dark. It's not gonna affect the YouTube video. Oh man, it's gonna affect. Okay, ask this. Okay, her regular customer include business owners, right? Wedding functions and cultural organization. Her target market, right? People that tends to that buy from her. Right. Then other come in all the time as Moloko is regarded as the top shoemaker in her community. She became one in town, right, making good shoes. So Moloko says running a business needs one full attention. Of course, she's very correct. Anything you are doing, you need to focus, right? Full attention. Even your studies. If you don't focus, you cannot make it. You understand what I mean? Right? I'm sorry. Maybe next time you must sit at the back, right? Okay. So, as Moloko have said here, for you to be a successful business person, you need to give that business full attention and determination, right? Hard work and passion. All these are we call them traits or characteristics of a business person. And when you don't have these characteristics as a business owner, you're not going to succeed. There is no two ways about it. You're not going to make it, right? Become lazy, right? You become somebody that is disillusioned. If you are not determined, once there's any temptation, the devil tempt you, just give you a small temptation, then you collapse. Your business is gonna fall down. You get discouraged, right? So you need to be self-driven. So that is the case study, or rather the story about Mrs. Muloko. Right. Now, you were given these questions for you to test your ability. We gave you this question to test your ability, whether you understand what you've been taught in class as well as the story that were presented before you. Right. What type of business organization is the above business? Many of you, or most of you, got it right, or some of you couldn't get it right. Right? But it's not a problem. It's not the end of the day. When you see this type of business, it's for one person. There's only one person running the business. We call it sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship. Sole means one. One. Even if you say one man show, I'm gonna give you the man. If you are saying one man show, yeah. But in the exam, don't say one man show, right? You must say sole proprietorship. Right. Why do we say sole proprietorship? It's solely for who owns it, who is running the business. It's only one person, Mrs. Moloko. Mrs. Moloko employed two assistants. It doesn't mean that they own the business together. Because we are talking in terms of ownership and control of the business. What did I say? Ownership and control. So she was the only one, or she is the only one, if you will. Right. Name three advantages of this type of business. Name three advantages. Right? Name three disadvantages, I mean, sorry, not advantages. Or we can even talk about advantages so that we know as well, right? Because perhaps maybe the other exam that you are going to come across advantages. Okay, let's discuss it holistically. Holistically, right? One man's business, right? Let's put it in form of a horoscope. We are going to unpack it now. What is one man's business? You registered a business. It's only you, right? That is running the business. What are the advantages that you think could accrue to that business that you stand to gain? Being the owner, the sole owner in terms of ownership and management of a business, of your business. Put yourself in that kind of position. Let's think now, right? Think. One, let me open the floor for you. Decision will be quick. Quick decision. Quick decision making. You don't need to consult anybody. Do you understand what I mean? Quick decision making. I'm the only one. I decide whatever I want. I don't need to start asking you. You know, it's like, let me try to digress a little bit now. When you were single, oh, of course, most of you are still single. You wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. Right. Okay, let me give an example of myself. Right. When I was single, if I like, I can come and sleep at home. Nobody gonna ask me where have you been. Do you understand what I mean? Nobody gonna ask me. You see, if I want to travel, I told you one certain time, I've been to 18 countries. 18 countries. Is it 18 or 16? 16 countries. Because I was single. I would just wake up one day and say, I'm leaving this country. I'm going to another country. I don't tell anybody. I move. You see, I don't need to consult person. Hey, I want to travel. No, 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 no. I say I'm tired of this country and I'm going away. I take my bag, right? Because there is no responsibility that's gonna tie me down. You see, now I've got married, got see responsibility. The children are there. I cannot just move. You see, although I still have the urge to move, I can't move. I'm stuck, man. You see, any decision I want to take now, hey, I can't take it alone. You see, I will say I will need to consult. I need to consult. You see? So it's the same thing like a business. If you are the sole owner, you don't need to consult anybody, right? If even if your money is getting lost, you don't worry. You console yourself. You say, "Don't worry. Next time I'm gonna hit it." But if you take another person's money, you invest it in the wrong way. That person gonna be your enemy till that person dies because you squander the money. Decision will be quick, right? Action will be quick, right? And when you make money, the money belongs to you. You don't need to share with any person. If your decision happens to work out like a bomb, like an explosive, and you make money, it's your own. You don't need to share with anybody, right? When you have a one man's business, sometimes you see, for you to, you need to pay tax, right? You know tax. You need to pay SARS, right? There are not so much protocols involved. You will not be required to present an audited financial statement. You don't need that. Your money that is the bank statement is enough. But when you have a registered business, PTY, it's a lot of protocols involved. Audited financial statement, you need, all those type of stuff, right? When you have a one man's business, in terms of the disadvantage, I think we're gonna look at your book and see where we're gonna get more. In terms of the disadvantage, liability is unlimited. Liability, you know what I mean by liabilities? Debt, right? If you owe your suppliers, eventually your business is liquidating. I want to use the technical language now, the terms, so that you understand it. That's what we call liquidation. To liquidate. How many of you have heard that term before? Liquidation. Liquidation. You haven't heard it before. Huh? Bankruptcy. To bankrupt. Have you heard about that before? To bankrupt. When the business is being bankrupt, that means that business is unable to pay its debt. Then we call it insolvent. It becomes insolvent. You see, I've used three terms now to qualify a business that is on the brink of collapse. Right. So when it comes to that extent that a business is unable to pay its debt, in other words, a business is unable to pay its liability, the business needs to file for a liquidation. There is a legal process that is involved, right? You don't just pack your briefcase and run away. You need to file a liquidation, follow the liquidation process. Okay. Of which, if it is a sole business, one man's business, you need to sell whatever you invested in the business. Listen carefully, to pay your creditors. Right. If eventually you've sold all your belongings in the business and whatever you recoup is not enough to offset what you owe your creditors, you know what is going to happen? They will go to your house and sell your house if you have a house. They will go, if you have something that is valuable, they collect all those your valuable items and sell it to pay your creditors. That is why we said a one man's business got unlimited liability. The liability is unlimited. When they say something is unlimited, what it means it got no limit. When they say unlimited, that means no limit, no extent, no boundary. So your liability is without boundary. Your money you invested in the main business gonna be confiscated. They will go to your house. Whatever you get there will be sold to pay your creditors. But when you have a PTY, you know what is a PTY? Propriety, a company, right? PTY Limited. Liability is limited. You as the director, they're not gonna go to your house to sell your properties. They will only sell the asset that the business owns. In other words, if you got a registered business, that business itself, you got what we call a legal entity. That business itself is like a human being. Have you ever heard about that before? When you registered a business, a PTY business, it got a status, we call it legal entity, which means it's like a human being, right? So whatever dealings the business is doing is standing as a human being, no problem. So if there is, when it comes to the essence of liquidation, the directors are exonerated. They got a limited liability. You are going to sell whatever they invested in the business or whatever they bought in the name of the business. So other assets, their personal assets will not be affected. Does it make sense to you? That is why in most cases, when people want to register a business, they incorporate it to benefit from that limitation of liabilities. Does it make sense to you? Right. Okay. When you look at the disadvantage again, we already talk of limited liability, right? You see, when you have a business, you know, tasks, you need to pay tax to the government. It's a heavy tax. It's not a small money. For example, if you are working, the percentage range threshold of your tax may be 25%. In a business, you pay 30%. It's not a joke, right? It's like it is as if you are working for the government. But I'm not trying to discourage you from paying tax because if there was no companies paying taxes, we couldn't have had the privilege of being here because most of us are here now. You don't pay, right? The government is paying for you. The money, where is it coming from? From the taxes that these companies are paying. So heavy tax will be paid as we have it here. Remember, I told you about entity. When you have a sole business, it's not a legal entity on its own, right? So whatever happens, you shoulder it on your head. You see, anything that happens, any responsibility is about you. It's not about the company. That is what is there. Then, in terms of asset, asset, the business got limited asset because it's one man, right? It's only one person. If you combine with another person, perhaps in form of partnership, that means this one you combine it with this is gonna be more. But if you are alone, your asset will always be limited, right? Because you don't have much. You will only invest all what you've got. We've got that. Then in terms of continuity, you know what we mean by continuity? I'm talking about the disadvantages now, right? Continuity. If the owner of the business dies, what is going to happen? If the owner dies, not even, let's not talk about even when the owner dies. If the owner is sick, what is going to happen to the income? Right? It's going to be limited. It's going to be disturbed. Okay, it becomes much more serious if the owner of the business dies. What is going to happen? The business is going to close. That means, in terms of continuity, it's unlikely. I was watching a documentary the other day. This guy, he was one of those, let me call it second generation, a second generation immigrant. You know what I mean by immigrant? Yeah. So the father went to UK. It's an Indian guy, right? You know, Indians, they like to move. right? I like their style. So they were this guy. The father moved to UK. Then they gave birth to him, and they got a business. Right? At that point in time in UK, there were few Muslims. Muslims, right? Muslim, Islam. Yeah, there were few. So when they died, those days there were not people, a real somebody that can give them their own Muslim rights, funeral rights. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So because you see the way you bury Muslim people is different from from Christians. You don't. They got their own rights. So there was nobody that was doing it there in UK. Then this father was very creative. Himself was a Muslim. Then he created a burial society solely to bury the Muslims. I'm telling you, the guy was making money, a lot of bucks, because he was the only one, right? So the business was doing well. Then when he died, then the son took over, right? So now the business have expanded and is making good money. When they interview the guy, his problem now is that the child don't like the business. Did you see? So now he's in a kind of a situation whereby he's not happy that when he dies, that business is gonna close. Did you see what I'm trying to say? Because the heir that's supposed to take over is not interested in the business, which means the man is now getting worried that when he dies, that his business is gonna close, a family business. You see what I'm saying? So those are some of the advantages that one could talk about as far as the limitation of one man's business is concerned. Right. Is the period over now? Okay, I love that. So I'm gonna upload it. Make sure that you watch the YouTube video and subscribe. Right. Okay. Be careful there, man, because that thing is not living. It's not stable. Be careful, man. The table is not stable. All right. You know what? I'm gonna put the memo and the question paper on the group, right? So that you will have the opportunity of reviewing it before we come to the class. Yeah.